Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Reverend Jazz Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a word, give you some news on tonight. Um, okay, I'm gonna talk about criminal law code, respectable for the community. I'm changing rules and policy, principles pertaining to criminal offense. Others, certain penalty will be lower. You know, um, First, we will start with hiring officers. Hiring officers first. By proceeding a background check. Two, check mental health. Check on their other jobs that they work at. To see if they, did any crime there or they was fired or charged with, anything. Because a lot of time, they come on a job and be and did the same thing that they did somewhere else. So check if they ever had a charge or any crime or fire. So check if they have ever had bad behavior fire. Because a lot of time on these videos, we seeing them beating, stomping, and kicking like they angry. And if they have a report, if their report come back after they do the background check, if their report come back negative, then we should not hire. And if we have an officer now, who get charged, and fired, we have to make sure they don't work at another police station all across the nation. So now we're gonna talk about the arresting procedure. So a lot of a lot of times, they're arresting someone and it turned out it turned out to be a disaster. So arresting procedures. When an incident occurs, all officers have to complete a report. Because the last time, around Mardi Gras time, to arrest so many people, but by then do a report and got 30 accuracy detail, to have to release all of them. So I mean, you got to put criminals back on the street when you don't do a complete report. So when you don't fully complete your report and accurate detail, if not, you will have to release all criminals back on the street. So it's very important to do your report. Get every detail that you have to get. So we have to try, to give family closure. By having a good investigation done. That's another thing. We have to do a good investigation because sometimes you're closing the case too early. Because a lot of times someone y'all being to pick the wrong person and they're gonna serve 20 years and nobody innocent. So you have to do a good investigation. For all officers, make sure your body cam is off. So that's another thing. You're doing investigation. So not everything is on camera now. They have their body cam on. They also have cameras out in the street inside the building. So now you have real evidence now. You know, so um, so there are also street cameras. And they're also DNA tests. So they have all kind of ways that you can do a good investigation. To help solve a crime. So all of these following procedures can help in your investigation. So arresting someone, and when you are arresting someone, no chokehold, you know, no beating and stomping no one, no tasing, no killing an innocent person, that are not required in arresting. So see, we're gonna talk about the assault weapon. Semi guns designed for military. So it's designed for military, but you have so many regular people have those powerful guns out on the street. They've been involved in a whole lot of massive shooting. So one, you should not it should not be on the street because this is a powerful weapon that's the um and you don't have to keep reloading. It just automatically just keep on shooting. So it has been used in massive killing, the assault weapon of Pahiri for any person to use. Because it pretty much designed for the military. So weeks ago I had banned assault weapon. From stores, pawn shop. You know, do not sell assault weapon to no one. So now we're gonna talk about traffic stop. There's been a lot of killing with traffic stop. Traffic stop procedure. Stop when you stop anyone. Um, on these procedures, if someone run a red light, or driving reckless, or in a cautious, then you should be stopping. That's a reason to stop. So when you do stop them and they are they unarmed, and they have and they're not fighting you back, they're not resisting you, you should not proceed. You should not proceed these follow. No tasing, no chokehold, no beating, stomping them to death, no killing an innocent person. Traffic stop do not require these follow. So these, what I just named, it do not require the following when you stop someone. I mean, you stop someone for a traffic stop. So you really supposed to be asking for the driving license, and asking for the insurance. You see if everything's straight. You pull the information up. You either get them a ticket or you either let them go. But all the other stuff we've been seeing on videos, no. So traffic stop, you should be asking for driver license and insurance, and proceed with background checks. So the following, these procedures will save many lives. Traffic stop. If we follow these procedures, it will save lives. So we're gonna talk about death penalty. I banned death penalty also weeks ago. Only to be used if a person caught on video doing the crime, or if they have a witness, if they had DNA done, and if they say they admit, doing this crime, then you can proceed death penalty. Death penalty or capital punishment, offer defend on the grounds their society that has moral obligation to protect the safety and welfare of citizens. So placing a murderer, to death, can society ensure that the convict killer do not kill again. So that's what death penalty for. You know, death penalty falls to give them a death penalty to make sure they're not on the street again, killing. So we have to be careful. At the same time, we have to be careful that that's the person that did the crime. So giving death penalty to make sure you have the right person. Because someone has served 20 years. And then all of a sudden they found the real killer, but he done served 20 years. And they had no choice but to release him. So that's why I had banged that penalty, weeks ago. Because, because a lot of time, someone getting that penalty, and a lot of time they're innocent. Because you didn't do a full investigation. So someone served 20 years. Then they found out the person was innocent, and they had to let him go, but he already had to serve 20 years. So he could, so someone else had committed that crime, and he was innocent, but served 20 years. For a crime he did not commit. So that's why I banned that penalty, because you have to be careful and make sure you have the right person. So the crime he did not commit. Suppose he would have had the death penalty. It would have been an innocent man, getting a death penalty. That's why I banned it, because you have to really be careful. You have to really be careful. So we have to have real proof, evidence, have the crime on camera, a witness, and if they admit the crime, you know, follow that penalty. Kidnapping, a hostage, a murder, So I had banged that penalty, because we have to be careful that we have the right person to put that, penalty on that person. So we should not lower penalty for project robbery. They should take responsibility for the action. Because we had a lot of that going on, like last year sometime. So some people, they have nice cars, and then if they get caught carjacking somebody, go in jail and they coming out, because they lowering their penalty. But they feel like, that's not important. That is important. Some people spend 20,000 on a car, and then a lot of times, they spend that much money on their car, and then somebody carjack their car. That kind of money is just gone. So that, carjacking is very important. So classified document, talk about, organized for classified document, to be secure. That these are some classified document that needs to be secure. Classification is a process of identifying that the information which require protection in the interest of preserving national security. So certain information require protection against unauthorized, disclosure in the interest of national defense and security of foreign relations of the United States. So top secret confidence, classified documents, are very important, have to be secure, to access that, to access classified documents, it have to be authorized first, you know, to then sign a login sheet for why the security are present, and so when you return the document back, make sure the security is present when you're signing the login sheet out, so while returning document, organize classified document to stay secure. So that's what I came up with. I came up with anytime if someone needs the document, that you have to sign it, and you got to make sure the security right. And when you finish to return it back, you have to sign it out and make sure security is right there. So common sense God knows what I'm talking about. I request that Congress don't pass the common sense law. Require every gun buyer to pass a criminal background check. So I raised the minimum age to purchase a gun or rifle, age to 25 years old. Enforcing safe storage law, for kids to require all guns owners to keep all weapons secure in the storage box lot away from the kids. Because we've been having a lot of that going in the house. They're finding a gun, and shooting the other citizen or whoever near them, it goes off. So gun trafficking. I request to increase penalty for gun trafficking. Feel like that's not important, but it is. Gun trafficking, when someone purchase a gun from someone, that means you have that gun illegal. Because you have to go through the process to purchase a gun. And if you don't go through the process, you buying a gun from somebody else, that's gun trafficking. So you get caught with it, you have to take the responsibility of buying a gun from someone else. So school safety. We'll talk about school safety procedures. Now these procedures was done after the mass shooting. At the school, 19 kids got killed, one teacher got killed. Inside the school, you should have an unarmed security. So nobody won't grab his gun off the side. Unarmed security inside the school. Proceed a round check. Remember the last mass shooting? They're saying that the door was open. So we're gonna have the security inside. Do round checks every hour. Make sure the doors are locked. Make sure no activity is going on in the school. So you're gonna make sure all the doors are locked because they said the door was open and that's how he got in. Good. We gonna have the armed security outside. Armed security outside, proceed rounds around the building. Make sure no one enters. And also when the kids come outside to play, you got outside security have to monitor those kids. Okay, voting rights. Let's talk about voting rights. No restriction on vote for disability. Citizen. You, you know, we not gonna prohibit them from voting. All have the right to vote. Long as they got somebody to roll on what it needs to get to, they can vote. So we're not gonna exclude them. We would need everyone to vote. Check the inactive, active, voter. To make sure if everything is updated. Because it's so many. We need everyone to vote to make sure everyone have a voice. And when you have a voice, it means when you vote, vote someone to stay in, or you either want to vote someone to be out. You have the right to have your voice. Outside district have the right to vote. So we need all votes. You will check the inactive voters and see if it have to be updated. All African American in the district, all have the right to vote. So now let's talk about Title 42 policy. The policy to protect the border to prohibit the interest of the person, making sure no one bypass and help screen. It pretty much came out with that round when the COVID came out. To make sure everyone get checked, for the COVID before they get this ship on board. So it also came in handy to check and see if they're illegal, check for paperwork and everything else. So the policy came in handy for all kind of ways. We're gonna talk about economics, employment. So the employment of the United States economic, added 517,000, jobs in January of this year. So after increasing, by 260 thousand in December, this was the largest job gain since July the 22nd. So at the same time, the unemployment rate dropped, 3.4%. Since January the 20 this year, from 3.5% in December the 22nd of last year. This was the lowest unemployment since the spring of 1969 to February 7th of 2023. So, we're gonna talk about minimum wage. Minimum wage. We can, pretty much just in New Orleans, a lot of other states, then it went up so much on their minimum wage. $7.25 an hour. Inflation reduction. Mr. President Bennett did a good job in selecting this new insulin. Reduction that will help diabetes. The cost of $35 a month. That's pretty good. Prescribed which will be covered, and it will also be covered under the Medicaid. Medicaid Part D. That this was inflation and reduction. So we're gonna talk about Social Security. Social Security and Medicaid. So I request, that Social Security and Medicaid remain. Because I know at one time they were talking about eliminating the Social Security. So millions of seniors depend on their Social Security support. It's their livelihood. So you in their Social Security, and they're already retired, don't have no other income besides their Social Security. I don't know what else they would do. So that's why I request Social Security to remain. So retirement age is 62 to through 67. To remain. and Social Security end, that all that's if they try to end the Social Security, I mean I don't know what a lot of citizens gonna do. You know, they'll be off for Social Security, but I request for it to remain. So Social Security, you know, support their livelihood. So retirement plan 62 to 67. So if Social Security in their all income, that's all the income they have. So I request for Social Security to remain, and also Medicaid. So this was my criminal on law code I came over. Remember I told y'all 3 4 days ago I was gonna come up with one. That's all I have for you, Dick. So we talk about hiring officer. You know, um, we also talk about arresting procedures. So we also talk about the assault weapon. We also talk about traffic stop procedure. So we also talk about death penalty. Okay, we also talk about carjacking and robbery. I think the penalty should stay the same. Do not lower the penalty. Because they carjacking on cars, and a lot of times these cars be some expensive cars. So we gonna keep that penalty the same. We're not gonna lower that. Classified document we talk about how to keep it secure. You know, have them to sign a login sheet in and out, but the security have to be present. We also talk about common sense gun law. Common sense gun law. We talk about the trafficking and gun trafficking. Enforce the safe stores law. So many kids finding guns in the house. So you got a gun in the house, you have to have in the store box with a lock. So um, we also talk about the minimum age to purchase a gun. I have 25 years. You know, so we talked about school safety procedure. Unarmed security inside the school, and the armed security outside of the school. So we talked about Title 42. We talked about the employment and the minimum wage. We talked about the inflation reduction. The incident. They save plenty of money for that. So Social Security and Medicare we talked about. I request for it to remain. So that's all the news I have for you on today, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a blessed night.